Well, she's a Pulitzer Prize winning columnist, a television and radio personality, and in her spare time, if she has any, she just so happens to run a wildly successful imprint for Simon & Schuster.
Well, here to talk about the book business, cracking the New York Times bestsellers list, and why the world can't get enough of the Kardashians is our friend to the show, Karen Hunter.
Hey,
Karen,
Hi, Miss
welcome.
Karen Hunter. Wow, look at all your books.
Oh, wow.
It looks like Barnes & Noble in here. Well, Karen, you and I go way back to the Daily News.
Not way back. We're not that old.
I was a cub reporter, and you were one of my mentors, so thank you so much for showing me the way.
Well, thank you because I just watched you grow, and I knew you were going to be successful, so I'm not surprised. You're very smart.
Before you became one of the most powerful women in publishing, you were a columnist for the New York Times. Well, I'm sorry, the Daily News, not the New York Times.
I don't think, the Daily News culture is a lot different than the New York Times. It's very highbrow at the Times. And, the kind of column I did at the Daily News was very, very much me. We wrote about things, I wrote about things that mattered to me, and, a lot of pop culture, a lot of social issues, education, did Puffy's trial.
Oh.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. We won't talk about that. He's still mad at me. Puffy, call me. I'm sorry. You shoot that person. All right.
Well, how did you make the transition from writing columns to the book business?
Well, it's kind of interesting. You were in entertainment at the time, right? And I loved music, and I'm sitting on the editorial board, and Jim Farber, who was the music editor, he would have all these CDs on his desk, and he only did certain kinds of stories. So I'm like, Jim, you're not going to get this. You're not going to use that. So I would come and steal his CDs every day. And he said, why don't you just write some pieces for us, and then they'll put you on the mailing list. And I was like, word? So I started writing music pieces, for extra cash and for free CDs. And then that kind of, led to me meeting a lot of people in the industry. I did one of the first pieces on Biggie. When he spent a day with him, got high, and spent time with his mom.
Just gonna throw that in there, huh?
Yeah, well, you can't, be in a Suburban that's weeded out and not get a contact high. I've never inhaled though.
Okay.
So we did that, and I was hanging out with LL in Long Island. He was doing his first movie, and the big deal was he was gonna take off his hat. Now we see his head all the time, and it wasn't. But back then, if you remember, people had rumors that he had like extra horn, of alien living under the hat. We didn't know, so it was like a big deal. So I'm in Long Island near his home, and we're sitting at lunch and eating, and people coming up and bothering him, and he's so gracious. So I'm sitting there. I was like, "Have you ever thought about doing a book?" And he said, "Yeah. As a matter of fact, I see myself on the cover naked, covered in hats. I was like, I see that too. That looks like a very nice cover, Mr. LL Cool J."
Wow.
So, as we were talking, I said, "Well, why don't you do a book with me?" And he was like, "Okay." And I was like,
and it was that simple?
Well, I think it was my charm and effervescence. No, you know what I think, Lola, honestly? I think no one ever asked him, and in that moment we clicked and connected, and I didn't let him off the hook. I talked to his manager. I was like, he said he was going to do a book with me. So we need to do, and I actually got the publisher, and I didn't give him an out. So we met during Clinton's inauguration in Washington because he was performing. I brought the publisher down. I had the agent. I had everybody. And
Okay, so what about Wendy Williams? You also helped her with her first book.
We're going to talk about Wendy.
Yeah, well, what did you think about her current success?
I'm very proud of Wendy Williams.
Okay.
I'm proud of anybody who can be successful in their space. And for her to parlay what she was able to do on the radio into a successful television show, you can't hate on it. I would never, ever do that.
One family that gets a lot of hating is the Kardashian family, and you, of course, helped Kris Jenner with her book. So why are people so fascinated with this clan?
I think there's a rawness to them. Having worked with Kris, I will say this, and I often joke I'll punch somebody in the face who says something bad about Kris Jenner.
Okay.
Not really. I'm not a violent person, but I've gotten to see this woman work in a way that many people haven't, and I admire her. People say they're famous for being famous, but Kris took Bruce Jenner, who was doing nothing with his career at the time, even though he was an Olympic gold medalist, and created an industry around him, a speaking industry. They did a workout video. She's constantly thinking, and having worked with her on a book where I worked intimately with her, she does not quit. So there's a formula to success. It doesn't just happen just because you're cute and you have 20 million Twitter followers. She actually puts her time in, and I've seen her do it. So I'm not going to disparage the Kardashians.
Now,
not on this show, but if you I'm joking. I never would.
But off camera.
Girl, let me. No, go ahead.
Karen, I love you. Well, what do these celebrities get out of doing these books? I mean, they don't do it for the money, obviously. They don't
No,
need
some
it.
of them do it for the money.
Really?
You know, this is a car payment for a couple of them.
Okay.
Not the Kardashians, of course, but I think everybody, and this is just being a publisher, I get bombarded every day. Everybody and their mother has a story. I have yet to run into. I'm at a funeral. Girl, can I slip you a manuscript? Because I've been working on this book for. Okay, so
at a funeral?
At a funeral, I was at a dinner recently. A doctor came from across the room. I heard you're a publisher. I have this book. I'm like, really? I'm sitting here trying to honor somebody right now. Can you?
Well, that brings up a good question. How do you know when you get all these proposals and all these books, which one is going to be a hit and which one's right for your company?
that's the fascinating thing about publishing. And anybody that tells you they know, well, actually, I did know that that Kris Jenner's book was going to be a hit, not because of her brand, but because of the things she was authentic. And I think that there's a formula to success in book publishing, and people are like, why is this book successful? Read the content. Like LL Cool J's book wasn't successful because it was a rap book, and this is what we do. We follow trends, right? So after his book, everybody wanted to sign a rapper.
And they did.
And it was like, that's not why that book worked. It wasn't because he was a rapper. It's because of what he was saying. He's talking about his father shooting his mother. And, I mean, he's talking about the abuse that he, experienced at the hands of his stepfather, being raised. He's talking about real things that people could relate to, dropping out of high school. So it wasn't just that it's a rapper. So we get caught up in this, this celebrity book, it's going to work because it's a celebrity and they have a TV show. No, what are they saying? So I think that's the formula for me. If I can put out a book that's saying something, that's edifying, that pushes the needle or the envelope a little bit, that will make someone think about themselves or maybe even evoke some sort of change, I feel like I have a formula for success.
Wow. And you've cornered the reality market.
Now, recently, I'm not proud of that, Lola. Can we talk about what else do you have on this list?
Can we talk about
you got another book?
But you've got a book with Tamar
Get your life, Lola. Get your life.
Stevie J.
Did I say I'm doing Stevie J's book?
Oh
my goodness, the rumor mill is just ridiculous around here.
Okay. Let's fast forward. Karen, you kill me. All right, so we won't talk about the reality show.
We can talk about it.
Okay, really
because I'm going to get some heat for Stevie J.
Okay.
I know I'm going to get some. So let me talk about Stevie J first of all.
Break it on down.
Stevie J, if we can be honest, first of all, has a very hit show.
Yes, he does.
And he's a scoundrel, a rapscallion, right?
Yes.
Can we agree to that? He's a dog,
yes.
right? Now, as a female, you want to know what makes another female want to be, because he gets the women. I mean,
it's true.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg's daughter asked him to marry her.
Wow.
Oh, that's in the book.
Asked him.
I just dropped a little something that's in the book.
Okay, we got to get this
a little something. So there's something special about him, or is there? Or maybe there's just a type. And maybe he has figured out the matrix code to what will make a woman want him, even though we know he's a dog.
But let me guess, all of it's going to be in the book.
It's in the book.
See?
But really, it's kind of a parody. We're going to have fun. The reason why I signed him, I have the most disdain for the lifestyle that he's leading, personally. But what I do realize is that there are a lot of women out there that find him attractive. They could talk about him on TV and on Twitter, and they can go. But really, if they were in his face, when he starts licking his lips and all of that, they would be caught up in the moment. I wanted to do a book that would be a parody of this whole kind of phenomenon and why good girls go after bad guys and what it is, so he's taking one for the team. He's going to divulge some secrets about what it is that he actually does. We're not going to get into the whole, all the details, but,
But
that's going to be a juicy one.
It's juicy,
that sounds juicy. Okay, you've convinced me, Karen
It's going to be a
Hunter.
good book.
All right, you promised to come back.
You're going to invite me back?
Of course.
Okay, then I'll come back.
You're already invited.
Right.
And
Especially
you
after
come
this.
back too. You're watching Arise Entertainment 360. I love you.
Beefcake. I was going to get beefcake in there.
You need to